Claro que ustedes se deben acordar la forma en que trató López a Karla Quintana, la que fue la comisionada de la Comisión Nacional de Búsqueda, cuando quisieron modificar el padrón de personas desaparecidas y ella se negó. Pues ustedes saben lo que pasó, ¿no? Se le fue a la yugular, la acusó de esto, de otro, de aquello, y al final pues a Karla Quintana le fue mucho mejor, porque hace unos días, bueno, el año pasado, nos enteramos que ella había sido contratada por la ONU para ser la responsable, como dice aquí en la propia página de Naciones Unidas, de la institución que se va a encargar de los desaparecidos en Siria. Es una cosa que, pues, fíjense, fue el 19 de diciembre, cuando publicó esto la ONU. Le había ido muy mal la manera en que la trató el gobierno de México, y esto es como para estampárselo en la cara al gobierno de México y decirle: mira, ¿a quién corriste? En el mundo a ella la consideran pues como una experta, ¿no? De hecho, no como una experta en el tema, tanto que va a ir a llevar a cabo la búsqueda de personas en un país como Siria. Es algo muy fuerte. Bueno, ¿por qué les cuento todo esto? El año pasado tenemos un compa que da clases allá en la Universidad de Harvard y estuvo en este foro que organizaron justamente con motivo del aniversario de Ayotzinapa, de los 10 años de Ayotzinapa, y en este foro estuvo Karla Quintana. Aquí viene la fecha, 26 de septiembre de 2024, fue en el David Rockefeller Center para Estudios de Latinoamérica, y estuvo junto con otras personas o personalidades. Miren, por ejemplo, en este foro estuvo Anabel Hernández, Osvaldo Zavala, Claudio Lomitz, ¿quién más? Mexicano. Bueno, la moderadora fue Andrea Garza Ertzman. Bueno, pues aquí estuvo Karla Quintana, y este compa precisamente me pasó hace un rato la participación de ella en esta mesa. Lo que dice Karla Quintana se los voy a dejar, está en inglés, pero le puse ahí las traducciones con inteligencia artificial. Tiene algunas fallitas, pero se entiende bien. Para que ustedes escuchen hablar a Karla Quintana de la terrible crisis que hay en México, cuando le quitas todo el maquillaje de la transformación de cuarta a la realidad del país. Entonces se puede ver una radiografía real de lo que pasa en México. Y ella menciona que hay en realidad en nuestro país 4 crisis, o una crisis global que tiene 4 aristas muy graves. Y una de ellas pues es la situación de los desaparecidos, la terrible crisis forense que hay, el inacceso a la justicia que no existe. Y dice también Karla Quintana que ella ni siquiera sabría cómo definir lo que pasa en México, porque pues hay mucha gente que dice que estamos en una guerra, otras personas que dicen que no, y ella dice que no encuentra la manera de definir lo que pasa porque se sale de todo lo convencional. Pero de que hay un conflicto muy violento en nuestro país, pues es un hecho. Esto lo vive todo mexicano, ¿no? Todos lo vemos. Los de Morena lo niegan, así como lo negó el PRI, lo negó el PAN. Bueno, ahora Morena lo niega. Es muy interesante, son como 11 minutos, vale la pena que lo escuchen y que lo compartan, porque viene de parte de alguien que de este asunto sabe un montón. Y estas son las cosas que debemos escuchar para tratar de comprender qué es lo que está pasando. Si a México le acercaran más análisis de este tipo, de gente que sabe, probablemente las personas estarían más avispadas y estarían incluso hasta más preocupadas y ocupadas en buscarle una salida a esto. Y habla incluso de cómo el no reconocimiento de la realidad por parte del gobierno nos perjudica enormemente. O sea, que el gobierno de López y el de Claudia Sheinbaum no reconozcan la realidad, pues juega en contra nuestra. Porque aquí lo hemos repetido en los últimos días, sobre todo con el tema del fentanilo, que es igual. Mientras el gobierno no reconozca que hay un problema, no van a poder atenderlo. Primero hay que reconocer que existe el problema. Y eso mismo pasa con todo este horror en nuestro país. Les voy a dejar el audio para que ustedes lo escuchen y compártanlo. Esto vale mucho la pena. Es Karla Quintana hablando de nuestros desaparecidos y de los 70,000 cuerpos que hay en los CEMEFOS. Y la cifra sigue aumentando. Solo un dato más, que no lo menciona Karla Quintana en este momento porque todavía no llegaba Lady Repsamen, pero van más de 4,700 personas, si mal no recuerdo, desaparecidas en los primeros días en estos días del gobierno de Claudia Sheinbaum. O sea, estamos hablando de un promedio brutal. Escúchenlo.
I would like to point out that over there are 43 people. I was counting them. So 43 people are missing, or have been missing for 10 years now. But what I would like to talk about, because there are many people here, Claudio himself are going to talk about Ayotzinapa, I would like to talk about the other 116,000 people that are missing in Mexico. 101,000 of them missing in the last 18 years. So we do have several crises in Mexico, and Ayotzinapa is only one case of thousands. And not even in that case that has brought so much attention nationally and internationally has been solved. We have not found 40 of them. Only 3 have been found by the Mexican government, and they were identified by the Argentinian forensic group. So when talking about Ayotzinapa, we have to think about the context in which it happened. We at least have 4 crises that are mixed or intermingled in Mexico. It's the security crisis, the disappearance crisis, the research or the investigation crisis, and the forensic crisis. If we do not understand that we have these 4 crises together, we cannot understand what is happening in Mexico. And I would like to start with what Osvaldo was saying. Is Mexico in war? Of course, I'm a lawyer. I'm sorry about that. No, it's perfect. But I have to talk as an attorney. And as an international lawyer, we do not fall into the definition of war. I do believe we're in war, some kind of war, but if you ask a lawyer, an international attorney, they're going to say, like, we do not fall into that definition. We do not fall into the definition of armed conflict. We do not fall into the definition of civil war. But we are in a situation that we are not in peace. I don't know how to call it. There are some scholars that called it what's happening in Mexico criminal war. But as long as the Mexican government does not accept that we are not in a peaceful situation and that we do need to take extraordinary measures, we're not going to be able to take legal, political, economic, and public policy measures in order to combat all these crises together. Because, I mean, I worked looking for these thousands of people in Mexico, and even if you try, if the other 3 crises are not dealt with, nothing's going to change. So first of all, we have to push into having and accepting that we do need extraordinary measures in order to start trying to figure out how we're going to solve this problem. Because we are missing 43 today, and I'm pretty sure that if you look into the registry, the national registry that we built, there have been like 40 missing as of yesterday. So it keeps happening. So we need to take measures in order to do this. First, I wanted to talk about the concept of war, armed conflict, criminal war. That's the first step. Second, we have to understand that when we talk about disappeared in Mexico, the disappeared. We're not talking only about forced disappearance. Of course, I do believe it in forced disappearance. But not everything is forced disappearance as we think of it from the dictatorships in Argentina, in Chile, in Brazil, or not even what happened in Central America, in Guatemala, El Salvador, etc., etc. We're talking about these forced disappearances. We're talking about disappearances committed by non-state actors. I don't want to say cartels because I have a follow around right here. So non-state actors, illegal non-state actors. We're talking about human trafficking. We're talking about forced recruitment. We're talking about femicide, homicide. The definition of disappeared person in Mexico is very broad, and it's probably the broadest one in the world. And it says like this: desaparecido. We say desaparecido. It's everyone who is missing that we do not know their whereabouts, and we have some information that she might be victim of a crime. Which crime? We don't know. So we do have to bring to the table, we do have to discuss of how broad we need or we have to accept how broad we need how broad the definition has to be in order for the state to take measures to look for them and to investigate what's happening. And this is very important because it's not only happening in Mexico, it's happening all over the world, in Ecuador, in Colombia. We cannot think of the disappeared only as forced disappearance, because that makes it very easy for any government, any president, let's say any president, Mexican, for example, to say like, I do not order anyone to go disappear these people. Well, even if we believe that, say we believe that, that doesn't take the fact that lots of people are being disappeared. So, like, the state has a responsibility in order to look for them. Of course, again, sorry, I'm going to say something as a lawyer, we can discuss, even if that, everything, all the other disappearances are not, or not forced disappearances, because I do believe we can one can argue that this is also forced disappearance if the state does not take all the measures in order to look for them and to prevent those disappearances. So, well, but that's, sorry again, as a lawyer. Then, another crisis, the forensic crisis. We have more than 70,000 non-identified bodies as of last year. And this is new information that only came out a couple of days ago, because there is no official registry in Mexico of how many unidentified bodies we have all over the country. However, el Movimiento por Nuestros Desaparecidos de Mexico came with this figure in 2021, and we were able to know that at least there were 52,000 bodies that are not identified. But 2 days ago, Efraín Suk, reporter that follows all these subjects, issued an article, a very important article. You can look for it. ¿A dónde van los desaparecidos? And he came out with this figure, 72,000 bodies as of 2023. So when we talk about it's very complex to talk about forensic crisis. I would leave that because I know Andrea wants to ask about it later. But we do have to take into consideration that the Mexican government has 72,000 non-identified bodies, and it has 115,000 people missing. Not everyone that is missing is dead. But taking into consideration our context, it is very likely that many of the people we are looking for are there. And the state has the obligation to identify. And what has the state done? We can talk about that later. But we have to, then we have this concept of, are we in war? We have the concept of what we define as disappeared person. We have the forensic crisis and non-identification crisis, and I'll finish, and we have to finish there. We have a justice crisis. Only 7 out of 100 crimes in Mexico are investigated. I'm going to repeat it, and this is official information. 7 out of 100 crimes, whatever crime you think about, robbery, armed robbery, human trafficking, disappearance, homicide, whatever you think about, only 7 out of 100 crimes are investigated in Mexico. That's number one. And from those seven crimes that are investigated, quote unquote, at least, well, they're in a fiscalia, only 10% of them are going to be able to get to a judge. That doesn't mean we're going to have we're going to have a good decision, a judicial decision. It's only 10% of those crimes are going to get to a judge. So imagine the complexity and the impunity of Mexico. And when we talk about about disappearances, we only have, I'm telling you, we have 16,000 disappeared persons as of today. Can someone guess how many decisions we have, judicial decisions we have regarding disappearances in Mexico? Yes?
0.
Almost. 36. In Mexican history. So we have an impunity, we have a justice crisis that, of course, it's not solved with a judicial reform as we had it last week. But we can talk about that. I would leave it there just to give a context of this. When we have this context, think of Ayotzinapa. We have not been able to have a final decision. We do not know legally who's responsible for it. Legally, that's why I said no. We have not identified but 3 of them, and we are still looking for the body. Thank you.